Archaeological sources. Origin and development of Indian archaeology. In India, archaeology related activities had begun by Europeans. Eminent Orientalist Sir William Jones, 1746 to 94 AD, founded the Asiatic Society of Bengal, Calcutta, in 1784 AD. In beginning, the activities of Asiatic Society were limited to language and literature, but soon society had to notice archaeology. A large number of inscriptions were collected, but there was a big problem. These inscriptions could not be deciphered because of ignorance of the script. This problem was solved by James Principe, 1799 to 1840 AD, a minister of Asiatic Society and founding editor of the Journal of the Asiatic Society, by decipherment of the Brahmi script in 1837 AD, and after that he succeeded to decipher Ashokan inscriptions. He also deciphered Kharosthi script. George Turner, 1799 to 1842 AD, an officer of Ceylon, Sri Lanka Civil Service, forwarded the research work regarding Indian archaeology by the identification of Priyadarshi with Mauryan king Ashoka as mentioned in ancient Buddhist texts. Sir Alexander Cunningham, a British army engineer deputed in Bengal, was very helpful in explanation work of James Principe. Sir Alexander Cunningham, 1861 to 85 AD, was appointed Archaeological Surveyor of Archaeological Survey of India, New Delhi, founded in 1861 in the region of Governor General and Viceroy Lord Canning. For his great contribution in the field of Indian archaeology, Sir Alexander Cunningham is called the father of Indian archaeology. In 1885 AD, Cunningham retired from his post. After his retirement, James Burgess, 1886 to 89 AD, held the post, but after his retirement in 1889 AD, the chaos spread there that prolonged for about 13 years, 1889 to 1902 AD. In the beginning years of 20th century, the favorable condition had been established by Governor General and Viceroy Lord Curzon. He set up a separate department of archaeology and appointed Sir John Marshall as the Director General of Archaeological Survey of India in 1902 AD. Marshall held this post for 26 years, 1902 to 28 AD. Sir John Marshall, with the help of their associates, Dayaram Sahani, discovery of Harappa 1921, Rakhaldas Banerjee, discovery of Mohenjo-daro 1922, Ernest Mackay, Chanhudaro 1925, Orelstein Sukhjandar 1927, succeed firstly to come in light the ruins of ancient cities. The formal announcement of the discovery of Indus civilization was made in 1924 by Sir John Marshall. Revealing of Indus civilization changed the stream of history. In other words, it was the turning point in Indian history. Now, India was placed on global map because it has antique civilization like Iraq, Mesopotamian civilization, Egyptian civilization, and China, Chinese civilization. Before Marshall's announcement, it was believed that civilization in India began with Vedic Aryans. The finding of remains of Indus civilization disproved this belief. Now, the beginning of civilization in India was pushed 2500 years back. In this way, the antiquity of Indian civilization was established. The names of successors of Sir John Marshall are H. Hargreaves, 1928 to 31 AD, Dayaram Sahani, 1931 to 35 AD, J.P. Blakiston, 1935 to 37 AD, K.N. Dikshit, 1937 to 44 AD, Mortimer Wheeler, 1944 to 48 AD, N.P. Chakrabarti, 1948 to 50 AD, etc. Kinds of archaeological sources. Archaeological sources are categorized into three categories: inscriptions, coins, and monuments. The study of inscription is known as epigraphy, and the person who studied it was epigraphist. The study of coins is known as numismatics, and the person who studied it as numismatist. The Numismatic Society of India was founded in Allahabad in 1910 AD. Inscriptions. The inscriptions are the most important sources among archaeological sources. The inscriptions are divided into two groups, foreign and indigenous. Foreign inscriptions. Bohaskoi inscription, 1380 BC. The earliest decipherable readable inscription regarding India is Bohaskoi inscription, Asia Minor, Turkey, which was discovered in 1906 AD by German archaeologist Hugo Winkler. This inscription was found in the form of clay tablets from Bohaskoi, the capital of ancient Hittite Empire. This inscription contains the description of an accord between Hittani and Mitanni states and mentions four Vedic deities, Indra, Mitra, Varun and Nasatya, that is Ashwini Kumar, as a god deities of accord. These gods are also mentioned in the Rig Veda. Thus, Bohaskoi inscription proved that Asia Minor was the original homeland of the Aryans. In other words, it confirms the Central Asian theory. It indicates the transition of Aryans from Central Asia to India via Iran. Begistun inscription, 520 to 18 BC, and Naqsh-e-Rustam inscription, 515 BC. These two inscriptions are concerned with the reign of Persian Iranian Emperor Darius I. These are found from Begistun and Naqsh-e-Rustam. According to Begistun inscription, Darius I annexed the Gathar, that is Gandhar, and the Sahatu, that is Sapt Sindhu, and after annexation he constituted this area in 20th Strapi, that is province of his empire. This province was so fertile that from this province the empire received 360 talent gold dust as revenue, according to Herodotus. According to Naqsh-e-Rustam inscription, Persian Emperor Darius I possessed the Hindu, that is Sindhu Valley. Iranian inscriptions are written in Persian language and cuneiform script. Before 1837 AD, Iranian inscriptions were deciphered by Henry Rawlinson, an officer of the British East India Company and deputed in Afghanistan, and others. It is notable that among foreign inscriptions of India, the earliest deciphered inscriptions are Iranian inscription, that is Begistun and Naqsh-e-Rustam inscription. Of course, among indigenous inscriptions, the earliest deciphered inscriptions are Ashokan inscriptions. Indigenous inscriptions. Some scholars believe that the tradition of inscribing, engraving, and carving in India had begun before coming of Mauryan king Ashoka. They present two inscriptions as a proof of that belief. 1. Paiparaghava Buddhist urn, pot inscription, Siddharthanagar district, Uttar Pradesh, 5th to 4th century BC. 2. Barley inscription, Ajmer district, Rajasthan. While some other scholars think that the inscribing in India began with Mauryan king Ashoka. Whatever is the manner, but it is fairly certain that the golden period of the tradition of inscribing in India had begun with the period of Mauryan king Ashoka. Among indigenous inscriptions of India, first deciphered inscriptions are Ashokan inscriptions, which were deciphered in 1837 by James Prinsep, a civil servant in the employ of the East India Company in Bengal. 1. North Indian inscriptions, Mauryan inscriptions. Ashokan inscriptions. 1. Up to now, 40 Ashokan inscriptions have been found. 2. In Ashokan inscriptions, only Karuvaki among his queens and only Tivar among his children have mentioned. 3. In Ashokan inscriptions, the word pasand for sampradaya, that is community, pampan for brahmana, and nigranth for nirgranth, that is Jain, have used. 4. Bhabru inscription is the only Ashokan inscription in which Bostrofenden, Bailmuti, that is writing like piece of an ox script is used. This script is bidirectional script, that is from right to left and left to right in alternate line. 5. In Eragudi inscription, Andhra Pradesh, the matter of inscription is written in Brahmi script but right to left. Note, Brahmi script is written from left to right direction only. 6. In 4 Ashokan inscriptions found from Maski, Gujara, Nithur and Udaygolam, the word Ashoka is used for him. 7. Bhabru inscription is the only Ashokan inscription in which Mauryan king Ashoka called himself Mahadiraj, that is Raja of Magad. 8. Ashokan Junagadh Girnar, major rock edict, is the inscription on which later Saka ruler Rudradaman 130 to 50 AD and Gupta ruler Skandagupta 455-67 AD inscribed their inscriptions. 9. Ashokan Allahabad Pillar Edict is the inscription on which the inscription of 4 persons are inscribed: Ashoka, Karuvaki, Samudragupta and Jahangir. 10. The first discovered inscription of Ashoka is Meerut Delhi Pillar Edict, which had discovered in 1750 AD by Joseph Tiefenthaler, an European Jesuit missionary and geographer. 11. Ashokan inscriptions are generally written in Brahmi script and Prakrit language. 12. Though Prakrit was the language used in Ashokan inscription, the script varied from region to region. Brahmi script in the eastern India, Kharoshi script in northwestern India, and Greek and Aramaic scripts in western India. 13. In Manshera and Shabaghadi, both in Pakistan, inscription Kharoshti script that is written from right to left is used. 14. In Sara Aikuna, Kandar, Afghanistan inscription, Greek and Aramaic script is used. 15. Devdatta Ramakrishna D.R. Bandrakar has written a book, Ashoka, published in 1925 AD, which is based only on inscriptions of Ashoka. Dasaratha's Nagarjuni cave inscription, 220 BC. This inscription is found from Nagarjuni Hills situated in Jahanabad district of Bihar state. This inscription is written in Prakrit language and Brahmi script. According to inscription, King Dasaratha, grandson of Ashoka, donated 3 caves, namely Vapika, Gopika and Vaditika cave to Achvika monks so that they can reside in the rainy season. Post-Mauryan inscriptions. Heliodorus Besnahar Garud pillar inscription, second half of 2nd century BC. This pillar inscription is situated in Besnahar village, Bilsa district, Madhya Pradesh. This inscribed pillar was erected by Heliodorus, an ambassador sent by Antiochus, 115 BC to 110 BC. The Indo-Bactrian rule to the court of Bahabhadra, the Shun king, in front of the Vishnu temple. In this inscription, Heliodorus called himself Bhagvat. That confirms that he was the follower of Bhagvat religion. This pillar was surmounted by a sculpture of Garud and was dedicated to the god Vishnu. It confirms that religious impact of India on Greeks. Danadhyo's Ayodhya stone inscription, 1st century BC. It is encarved on a stone piece which is 1 kilometer far away from Ayodhya Nagar in Basti district of Uttar Pradesh state. It is written in Sanskrit language and Brahmi script. It is earliest available inscription written in Sanskrit language. This was inscribed by Dhanadhyo of Shung dynasty. It contains the information about Pushyamitra Shung, the founder of Shung dynasty, the capital Ayodhya, Ashwamedha Yajnas 2 times performed by him, victory over Greek, etc. Kharavela's Hathigumpha inscription, 1st century BC. This inscription is inscribed on upper part of Hathigumpha. Kumpha is an Odissi synonym of Hindi gufa, that is cave. It was inscribed by Kharavela, the Chedi or Mahamegha ruler of Kalinga. It is written in Prakrit language and Brahmi script. It throws light on the life of Kharavela, his acts and the events of his reign year by year from coronation to 13th years of his ruling. It described that the Kalinga ruler Kharavela and his queen were the patron of Jain religion. Kharavela was a follower of Jain religion and he took up the title Bhikshuraj. This inscription describes how he invaded Magad and made the king Brihaspati Shung dynasty do homage at his feet. He returned home, that is Kalinga, with the statue and footmarks of the first Jinnah, that is Rishabhadeva, which had been carried away 3 centuries ago by King Nanda. The important points among other details of inscription are extension of the old canal excavated by King Nanda up to the capital Kalinga from Tanasulya, construction of Mahavijaya Palace, construction of a large temple at Bhubaneswar, etc. In this inscription, he called himself Chakravarti ruler. This is the first inscription in which word Bharatvarsha is mentioned. Nagagnika's Nanagat cave inscription, second half of 1st century BC. This inscription is found from a cave of Nanagat in Pune district of Maharashtra state. It is written in Prakrit language and Brahmi script. It was inscribed by Satavahana ruler Satakarni's wife Naganika, which was a daughter of Maharati of Maharashtra. It throws light on the achievements of Satakarni 20 BC. In this inscription, Satakarni is called Apratihachakra Dakshinadhipati, then of Saimukh Vansha, etc. It mentions yajnas, that is sacrifices, Ashwamedha Yajna 2 times, Rajasuya Yajna, Agnadeya Yajna, etc. performed by Shatakarni. It contains the information that at the time of death of Shatakarni, his both son Shaktishri and Vedashri were minor, so their mother Naganika holds the power in her hand as a regent. Gautami Balashri's Nasik cave Prashasti inscription 141 AD. It is found from a cave of Nasik Nagar of Maharashtra state. It throws light on Satavahana ruler Gautamiputra Shatakarni 106 to 130 AD. It was inscribed in 141 AD by his mother Gautami Balashri in the reign of Vashishthiputra Pulamavi 130 to 154 AD. Due to this reason, this inscription is sometimes known as Vashishthiputra Pulamavi's Nasik Prashasti inscription. This inscription throws light on victories of Gautamiputra Shatakarni and his devotion towards the religion. According to inscription, he took up the title of Khatyadapman Madanas Sakayavan Palhava Nishudanam Khakrat was Nirabasis Karas Satavahana Kulayas Patitapankaras, etc. He also took up the title of Trisamudra Totaya Pitavahana, that is, one whose horses drank the waters of 3 seas in the east, west and south, identified as the Bay of Bengal, the Arabian Sea and the Indian Sea. Mathura stone pillar inscription of Huvishaka's time 106 AD. It is inscribed on the pillar found from a red well near Chaurasi Jain temple at Mathura in Mathura district of Uttar Pradesh state. At present, This inscription is conserved in Mathura Museum. It is written in Prakrit language and Brahmi script. It was inscribed by a donor, namely Sarakman of Kushan's ruler Huvishka's time. It states a chief who deposited money as a Akshaynivi, that is, permanent amount whose interest only can be expended, not principal, to a guild of flour millers for the maintenance of 100 brahmanas out of the monthly interest on it. The last line of this inscription states that the pious fruit of this grant firstly goes to the king Huvishka. It displays the respect to the king in the minds of general people. Ushabadatta's Nasik cave inscription, 1st century AD. It is inscribed in the Dasami cave of Pandulena in Nasik city of Maharashtra state. It is written in Prakrit language and Brahmi script. It was inscribed by Ushabadatta, son-in-law of Shaharat Strap, ruler of Nasik Nagpan. It defines the boundaries of Nagpan state. It contains the information about guild system of that time. According to inscription, Ushabadatta deposited 3000 Karshapana as a Akshaynivi, that is, permanent amount, in which 2000 Karshapana to Weavers Guild of Govardhana and 1000 Karshapana other Weavers Guild. The interest of this amount can be expended for the clothes and other things of bhikshus that resided in the Dasami cave of Pandulena. Rudradaman's Junagadh Girnar inscription, 150 AD. It is inscribed on a stone piece which is situated at Girnar Hills near Junagadh city of Gujarat state. It is written in Sanskrit language and Brahmi script. It is the first long Sanskrit inscription of India. It was inscribed by Saka ruler Rudradaman. According to inscription, Rudradaman defeated various kings and annexed the state. Akara, East Malwa; Avanti, West Malwa; Anupa, Anarat, North Kathiawar; Saurashtra, South Kathiawar; Shubra, the region of the Sabarmati; Maru, Marwar; Kucha, Kutch; Sindhu, east of the lower Indus; Suvira, west of the lower Indus; Kukura, apparent, North Konkan; and Nishpada, West Vindhya and Aravali. From this inscription, we get the history of Sudarsana Lake. According to this inscription, the Sudarsana Lake, which existed from the time of Chandragupta Maurya and Ashoka, Pushyagupta, the principal governor of Chandragupta Maurya, built the Sudarsana Lake, and Ondraj Tusfak, Iranian, the provincial governor of Ashoka, repaired this lake, burst in time of Rudradaman. There was a lot of destruction. Sudarsana became Dudarsana. Rudradaman repaired this lake from his own pocket and had not imposed any tax on the public. The repairing work was done under the supervision of Suvishak, the provincial governor of Rudradaman. This is the first inscription in which first time Lakshmi together with Vishnu mentioned. Inscriptions of Gupta period. Samudragupta's Prayag, Allahabad. Prashasti inscription, 360 AD. This pillar inscription stands in the fort at Allahabad and not in its original place of Prayag, Kosambi. The Prashasti, that is eulogy, inscribed on it was composed by Harishena, the Mahasandivigrahik, the minister of peace and war of Samudragupta. It is written in Sanskrit language and Brahmi script. The earlier part of the inscription is composed in verse, while the later part of the inscription in prose. It throws light on coronation, conquest in all directions, and personality of Samudragupta. There is a long sentence of 33 lines in it, content of 7th to 8th line. Announcement of Chandragupta I at the court that Samudragupta will be his successor. Jealousy felt by Tulyakulajas due to coronation of Samudragupta. Content of 13th line, victory over Achyut and Nagasena. Annexation of Pataliputra. Content of 17th, 18th line. Samudragupta described as one whose only ally was valor. Parakrama. through the might of his own arm, whose body is covered with scar marks caused by various weapons. Content of 19th to 20th line. Victory over 12 rulers of Dakshinapatha. Content of 21st line. The event of defeating 9 rulers of Naga dynasty at Kausambi. Content of 22nd line. Victory over Athavik subordination accepted by 5 states of eastern border region. Content of 24th line. Subordination accepted by Kider Kushan ruler Devaputra Shahi Shahanushahi, Saka ruler Rudrasena III, Saka Murund ruler Sinhali Sri Lankan king Meghavarna, Java, Sumatra and Malay islands. Content of 27th line. Samudragupta described as Kaviraja because he was so expert in music that Narad and Tumbaru was ashamed. Content of 28th line. Samudragupta described as patron of scholars. Content of 29th to 30th line. Samudragupta described as Lichavi Dauhitra, Maharajadhi Raja, avatar incarnation of Vishnu, Prachir wall bound with dharma, religion, etc. Samudragupta's Iran inscription. In this inscription, Samudragupta is called Sarvarajoshetha, that is, uprooter of all kings. According to this inscription, he was married with Datta Devi. It states that Erikini, that is Iran, was his Sabhoghanagar, that is personal Jahir. Samudragupta's Nalanda copper plate inscription. It is found from a vihar, that is monastery in Nalanda of Bihar state. It is written in Sanskrit language and Brahmi script. This copper plate inscription of donative nature contains the conditions on which Agrahar, that is land grant, had been given to Brahmanas by the donor. It contains Gupta genealogy from Sri Gupta to Samudragupta. Samudragupta's Gaya copper plate inscription. It is found from Gaya of Bihar state. The content of this inscription is similar to the content of his Nalanda copper plate inscription. Chandragupta II's Udaygiri inscription. It is inscribed on 2 caves at Udaygiri hills near Vidisha of Madhya Pradesh state. First cave was encaved by a feudatory belongs to Sankanik region of Chandragupta II, and second cave by Veersen Shah Sandivigrik, Minister of Peace and War of Chandragupta II. This inscription throws light on victory over western region by Chandragupta II. Chandra's Mehrauli, Delhi Iron Pillar inscription. It is concerned with a king named Chandra, identified as the Gupta ruler Chandragupta II by mostly scholars. Kumaragupta I's Damodarpur copper plate inscription. It is found from Damodarpur in Dinajpur district of northern Bengal. It is written in Sanskrit language and Brahmi script. This inscription confirms that northern Bengal was a part of Kumaragupta I's empire. It throws light on state organization and administrative system of Gupta period. Kumaragupta's Mandsaur stone inscription. It is inscribed on a stone piece of an embankment at Sivana river in Mandsaur of Madhya Pradesh. It throws light on decline of commerce and industries in later Gupta period. This inscription describes that a guild of silk weavers migrated from Lat, southern Gujarat, to Dashpur, Mandsaur, due to decline in silk industry. They settled in Dashpur, Mandsaur, and constructed there a temple dedicated to god Surya, that is the sun. Skandagupta's Girnar, Junagadh inscription. It throws light on the provincial administration of Skandagupta. It describes the appointment of Gupta, that is provincial governor, and the qualities of an ideal Gupta. It contains the information that the embankment of Sudarsana Lake was damaged once again and it was repaired by Chakrapalita, that is Purapati, that is head of the city of Girnar city and son of Parnadatta, the Gupta of Saurashtra. In this inscription, Kumaragupta is described as Kalyankari Raja, that is benevolent king, and Chakrapalita as Adarsh Nagar Rakshak, that is ideal city protector. Skandagupta's Bithari pillar inscription. It is inscribed on a pillar which is situated outside the Bithari village in Ghazipur district of Uttar Pradesh state. It is written in Sanskrit language and Brahmi script. It describes the erection of pillar, the construction of a temple in which the statue of Bhagwan Sharangi, that is God Vishnu, was established, and donation of revenue received from Bithari village for the expenses of temple by Skandagupta. It contains Gupta genealogy from Sri Gupta to Skandagupta. It mentions the invasion of Huns. Skandagupta's indoor copper plate inscription. It contains the information about a Saur Sampradaya, that is community concerned with the sun. Thailika Shreni, that is guild on oil millers that worked like a bank, and an administrative unit named Antarvedi under administrator Sharvanaga. Bhanugupta's Iran stone inscription 510 AD. It is found from Iran in Sagar district of Madhya Pradesh. It describes the battle between Bhanugupta and Hun invader Tormana. Goparaj, a feudatory of Bhanugupta, was killed during the battle, and his wife entered into the mass of fire funeral pyre. This is the first archaeological evidence of Sati Pradha, that is, the custom of immolation of a widow after the death of her husband. In ancient India, widow. Tormana's Iran Vara statue inscription. It is inscribed on a statue of Vara found from Iran, Sagar district, Madhya Pradesh. It describes political achievements and religious interest of Hun ruler Tormana. Later inscriptions. Harshavardhana's Bankhera copper plate inscription. It is found from Banskera in Shahjahanpur district of Uttar Pradesh. It throws light on administration and economy of Harshavardhana. It describes that the donation of tax-free village, namely Markat, Vishya, Angdiya, Bhukti, Ahichotra, to two Brahmanas by Harshavardhana. It contains the replica of signature of Harshavardhana that clarifies that he was a good calligraphist. Yashodharmana's Manpur stone pillar inscription. It was inscribed by Malwa ruler Yashodharmana. According to this, he defeated Hun ruler Mihirkula and annexed Malwa. Mihir Bhoja's Gwalior Prashasti inscription. It was inscribed by Pratihara king Mihir Bhoja. In the inscription, Mihir Bhoja is described as a great conqueror, competent administrator, and benevolent ruler. Parmara Bhoja's Dara Prashasti inscription. It throws light on political and cultural achievements of Bhoja of Parmara dynasty. Vijayasena's Devpara Prashasti inscription. It describes the events that occurred in the reign of Vijayasen, the founder of Sen dynasty. 2. South Indian inscriptions. Pulkesin II's Aihole Prashasti inscription. It is inscribed in Vishnu temple at Aihole in Bahalkot district of Karnataka state. It is an eulogy and written by court poet of Pulikesin II and Jain follower Ravi Kriti. It throws light on the success of Pulikesin II, the Chalukya ruler of Vathapi Badami. According to the inscription, Pulikesin II defeated Harshavardhana at the bank of Narmada and checked Harsha's campaign to conquer Deccan. At this occasion, Pulikesin II took up the title Parameshwar. This inscription mentions the name of Kalidasa and Bharavi. According to the inscription, the Mahabharat war was fought in 1301 BC. Narasimhavarmana's Mallikarjuna temple stone inscription. It contains the conquest of Pallava ruler Narasimhavarmana over Chalukya ruler of Badami Pulikesin II. On this occasion, Narasimhavarmana took up the title Mahamalla. Dantidurg's Allora cave inscription. It is inscribed in Dashavtar temple of Allora. It describes the conquest of Rashtrakuta ruler Nandidurg over Kalinga, Koshal, Kanchi, Malav, Lat, Tank, etc. Rajaraja's Tanjore inscription. It throws light on success of Chola king Rajaraja. Note, Rajaraja was the first Indian king who conceived the idea of inscription begin with historical preface introduction. According to the inscription, Rajaraja defeated Chera in Kandalur battle. He annexed northern Sri Lanka. Rajendra's first Tiruvallangar copper inscription. It describes the victories of Chola ruler Rajendra I. According to the inscription, Rajendra I defeated Sumatra ruler Vijayuthu Varmana. It contains the information about the revenue system of Cholas. Utrameru inscription of Parantaka time. It contains the details about local government prevalent in Chola period. B. Coins. Coins help us a great deal to know history of ancient India. These coins confirm, revise, change, or extend the facts received from literary sources. Coins are of various metals, copper, silver, gold, and others. For the convenience to the study, the coins are divided into two categories, indigenous and foreign. 1. Indigenous coins. A. Early punch-marked coins. Early coins of India are punch-marked coins. They are called punch-marked because pieces of metal were punched with certain mark symbols such as a hill, tree, fish, bull, elephant, crescent, etc. Punch-marked coins have no inscription but only marks. The earliest punch-marked coins were made largely of silver, though a few copper coins also existed. The punch-marked coins were made largely in quadrilateral shape. The punch-marked coins, that is, the coins made of metal, appear first in the 6th century BC. These coins were in circulation for around 4 centuries, from 6th century to 2nd century BC, that is, from Mahajanapada's period to Shung period. The punch-marked coins issued first by guilds of merchants, later by states. B. Indo-Bactrian coins. The practice of writing the names of kings and the figures of the rulers, deities, etc. was started by the Indo-Bactrian kings, the rulers of northwestern India. The writings on the coins included the names of the kings, the titles, their personal interest, religious beliefs, etc. The figures of the kings were encarved on the front side of the coins, while the figures of the deities were encarved on the back side of the coins. Actually, it were the coin that enabled us to construct the complete history of Indo-Bactrian rulers. The classical writers refer to only 4 or 5 Indo-Bactrian rulers, and in the absence of these coins, the names of other Indo-Bactrian rulers would have remained absolutely unknown. Besides this, it were the Indo-Bactrian rulers who first of all issued the gold coin. The Indo-Bactrian coins possess a high degree of excellence in many ways and ultimately had a tremendous influence on Indian coinage. C. Scythian, Saka, Parthian, Pahlava and Kushana coins. After Indo-Bactrian, Scythian, Saka, Parthian, Pahlava and Kushana rulers had ruled over northwestern India, they issued coins in the analogy of Indo-Bactrian coins. These coins played key role to construct the history of Scythian, Saka, Parthian, Pahlava and Kushana rulers. The existence of the Malava, Udayas and the Mitra rulers of Panchala is known only from the coins. First of all, Saka's trap Rudradaman 130 to 50 AD issued dated coins in Sanskrit. The Satavahana rulers issued the coins in lead, mainly copper, bronze and poteen. The Kushana rulers were the first rulers in India who issued gold coins regularly and on a large scale. Among gold coins of ancient rulers of India, the gold coins of Kushan rulers contain the most purity. D. Gupta coins. The Gupta ruler issued the largest number of gold coins. Among Gupta rulers, Chandragupta I was the first ruler who first of all issued the gold coins. He issued only one type of gold coins, king-queen type or Chandragupta Kumaradevi type. Original types of gold coins of Samudragupta Garud type, Dhanurdhari that is Archer type, Axe type, Ashwamedha type, Vyagarahanan that is tiger killing type and Veenavadan that is flute playing type. Original types of gold coins of Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya, Ashvarohi type, Chhatradhari type and Chakravikram type. Original type of gold coins of Kumaragupta I, Kadagadari type, Gajarohi type, Gajarohi Singhanta type, Khunghanta, that is rhinoceros slayer type, Kartikeya type, and Apratik Mudra type. Among Gupta rulers, Chandragupta II, Vikramaditya was the first ruler who issued silver coins. Among Gupta rulers, Ram Gupta was the first and only one ruler who issued copper coins. The gold coins of Gupta is known as dinars, whereas the silver coins of Gupta as rupak. 2. Foreign coins. The gold and silver coins of Roman emperors are found from various parts of South India, especially in Arikemedu near Pondicherry, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. These coins are of the period of Roman Emperor Augustus 27 BC to 14 AD and Tiberius 14 to 37 AD. It throws light on the trade relation between India and Roman Empire. C. Monuments. Under the monuments, all the artistic works concerned with architecture, sculpture, painting, etc. are included. Through the study of monuments, we know the history of development of art. Besides this, it throws light on religious, socio-economic conditions of concerned time. 1. Indigenous monuments. The excavation of Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, etc. revealed around 5 million years old Indus civilization. It is after the discovery of Indus civilization that we began to talk of a civilization in India prior to that of the Vedic Aryans. The excavation of Ataranjikera, etc. indicate that in Gangetic Valley of India, the use of iron began in 1000 BC. The excavation of various sites of South India show miscellaneous information with close trade relation between South India and Rome. The earliest temple found in India, the Dashpatpur temple, Yoga, Lalitpur district, Uttar Pradesh of Gupta period. It is the temple of Nahara, Shikat style. The best example of temple of Nahar style, Lingaraj temple, Bhuvaneshwar, Odisha in 11th century AD, built by the Kesari king. The best example of temple of Dravid style, Bragadishwar, Rajarajeshwar temple, Tanjore in 1000 AD, built by the Chola ruler Rajaraja I. The earliest statues found in India, statues found from the sites of Indus civilization with stone statue of a dancer found from Harappa, bronze statue of nude women dancer found from Mohenjo-daro, etc. The earliest samples of paintings found in India, cave paintings found from the sites of Lithic, the stone period, with paintings in Bhimbetka cave, Raisan district, Madhya Pradesh. 2. Foreign monuments. Besides India, some such monuments are found in the countries of Southeast Asia, which throw light on the history of ancient India. These monuments found mainly from Indonesia, Java, Sumatra, Bali, Borneo, etc. islands. Malaya, Malaysia, Kumbuj, Cambodia, Siam, Thailand, Champa, Vietnam, Swarnabhumi, Burma, etc. Among these monuments, some notable monuments are Buddhist temple of Borobudur, Java Island, Indonesia. It was built by the ruler of Shailendra dynasty, belongs to Srivijaya Empire of Java, Sumatra in 8th century AD. It is the largest Buddhist temple in the world. B. Vaishnava temple of Angkor Wat, Cambodia. It was built by Suryavarma, 113 to 45 AD, the ruler of Kaundinya dynasty of Kambuj in 12th century AD. C. Anand Pagoda, Buddhist temple of Pagan of Burma, now known as Myanmar. It was built by Kansitha Tribhuvanaditya, the successor of Pagan ruler Aniruddha in 11th to 12th century AD.